Good evening and welcome. Today is Monday, October 9th, 2023. The time now is 7 o'clock. I now call this meeting to order of the Aransas Pass Independent School District Board of Trustees. Mr. Mullinex, if you will lead us in our pledges, and Mr. Rector in our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Lord, here we are once again. We gather here this evening. We thank you for the life you bless us to live and the joy you put in our hearts by knowing you are our Savior. We thank you for blessing our staff and our students as we strive to give them the best education we can. We also pray for the parents and the guardians as they support our students. We come here asking your blessings upon this meeting, and we ask all these things in Jesus' name. It's for his sake we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Mullinex, and thank you, Mr. Rector. At this time, this point in our meeting is for public testimony, and it looks like this evening we have none. Anyone here to make public comments? Okay. Next item of business is our district recognitions. And so at this point, I will turn it over to our acting superintendent, Mr. Bennett.
All right, as always, we're proud to recognize our Panthers Employees of the Month. We'll ask Ms. Hill to read out the names, and as she calls your name, come over to the backdrop here for a photo op.
And we have the honor this evening of Trustee Flores, who will present along for our recognition of our Panthers and Employees of the Month.
Alrighty. First up for Falk Elementary, we have Austin Martinez. Austin is a second grade student at Falk Elementary. He is a leader in the classroom and the school. He often stops to help others and encourage them. Austin is focused on his academics and excels in all areas of instruction. We are so proud of the friend and classmate that he is. Austin, thank you for being a model student and a proud Panther. All right. Next, we have Alexa Villanueva. Alexa is a fifth grade student at Charlie Marshall Elementary. Alexa is an amazing example of kindness, good character, and helpfulness. Alexa is well-mannered and always ready to learn new things. She is a huge helper in the classroom and is always ready and willing to assist when called upon. We are very proud to have Alexa as our Panther of the Month. Next, we have Stefan Hayward. Stefan is an 8th grade student at AC Blunt Middle School. Stefan is also a proud member of the 8th grade Panther football team. He has made tremendous progress this year. He has improved in the classroom, not only in the quality of his work, but also in his work ethic. Stefan shows up to tutorials in order to receive help with his grades and has taken responsibility for his learning. We are proud to name Stefan our Panther of the Month. Next, we have Colby Scott. Colby is a 12th grade student at Aransas Pass High School. Colby is a driven student. He comes to class prepared and ready to work every day. He is currently taking 3 dual credit classes and works hard from bell to bell, getting all of his work done. He is also a great peer tutor, often helping our students in the room understand what the professors are actually asking them to do. Colby keeps calm in all situations and faces things head on. Thank you, Colby, for being a great representative of Aransas Pass High School. Now we will move on to our Employees of the Month. First up, we have Kathleen Deagle-Gaujour. Kathleen is a second grade teacher at Falk Elementary. This is her 24th year in teaching, and all 24 years have been right here in Aransas Pass ISD. Her parents instilled in her the love for learning and the respect for educators and employees of school districts. She always wanted to become a teacher, and it has always been her dream job, and it shows. She absolutely loves what she does and being a Panther. Our next recipient is actually not here tonight. She is attending to her child at one of her sporting events, but it is Miss Terry Medina. Terry is a fourth grade teacher at Charlie Marshall Elementary. This is her 25th year of service. Miss Medina's leadership ability is impeccable. She exudes a positive attitude and never refuses an opportunity to help a student or a colleague. Miss Medina's love for this profession is undeniable, and we feel extremely fortunate to have her as part of our Charlie Marshall family. Congratulations, Miss Medina, on this well-deserved honor. Next, we have Karina Jaramillo. She is the library aide at AC Blunt Middle School. Ms. Jaramillo has taken on a huge task and does it with a smile on her face. She keeps the library neat and running smoothly. She works very hard to establish positive rapport with students and encourages a love of books with each and every one. She does this with a positive attitude and has a lot of school spirit. We are proud to have Ms. Jaramillo as our AC Blunt Employee of the Month. Next up, we have Melissa Moreno. She has been chosen as the Aransas Pass High School Employee of the Month. Mrs. Moreno has worked for APISD for 29 years. She is not just a phenomenal teacher in the classroom, she is also an amazing coworker who makes coming to work each day a joy. She is someone who doesn't just support her school and her students in her classroom. You can see her at nearly every home game across nearly all sports. The commitment she shows is an example for every teacher and staff member at APISD to follow. Melissa Moreno is an amazing teacher who is worthy of recognition and appreciation. Thank you, Mrs. Moreno. Next up, we have Miss Melinda Chapa. Ms. Chapa is the Director of Business and Finance for Aransas Pass ISD. Ms. Chapa stepped into her role this year with huge shoes to fill, but guided the finalization of the initial 23-24 budgetary process with knowledge and professionalism. Melinda has presented innovative recommendations to improve the district's financial standing and works hard to provide support and guidance to campuses and departments in managing funds. We are proud to have Melinda on our team. Congratulations, Ms. Chapa. And last, but certainly not least, we have Linda Cozart. Ms. Cozart is a bus driver and has been chosen as the Maintenance and Transportation Employee of the Month. Linda is a hard worker and shows up on time every day, ready to work. Linda always has a good attitude and is very good with her students. She is willing to help out where she is needed, driving any shuttle bus when asked to do so. Congratulations and thank you so much, Linda. And that concludes our Panthers and Employees of the Month. Let's give them all another round of applause.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill and Mr. Flores, for assisting us in recognizing our wonderful Panthers and Employees of the Month. Again, congratulations and continue the great work that you're doing for APISD in our community. And certainly, if you're needing to excuse yourself, parents or students, you're more than welcome to do so, or you can stay and join us.
wait for 8th grade.
A few more photo ops here. Thank you. We'll now move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our superintendent's report. Mr. Bennett.
Okay, first off, we have the enrollment report. We're sitting at 1721 at the time of this report, which takes in from the beginning of school until last Friday, I believe. So we're sitting at 1721 with a 94.98 attendance rating, which is a little bit higher than it was at our last report, and we're 3 students higher than we were. Looking back same time last year, we're actually about 20 students more than we were to the same time last year, so we're moving in the right direction. All the totals you see for each campus are relatively about the same as they were at the beginning of the year on the first report we gave. One noticeable movement was in Falk's overall attendance. They have about a 2% rise in their overall attendance rate, so that's pretty good. And then we have the numbers as you see for each grade level. And we are above our 93% is what we put on our budget, and we are at 94.98, and I hear the principal's working on it every day, so we're hoping that continues to rise. Is there any questions?
Trustees, none? Okay. Next item is we have our JET grant status update.
Okay, for the JET grant status update, Mr. Escada and Mr. Romes put together for you. You have in your packet what we have received in our welding JET grant. The welding stations, hydraulic tube and pipe bender, all those things are listed there for you. The one change on the welding booth, they did come in Friday. I think it was after we had already sent this out. So the welding booths have come in. It's just a matter of putting those together and getting them installed and moving on from there. Electrical system still being worked on, but it's moving along as well. Health science JET grant equipment. You can see all those listed, what we have received to this point. And really, once they finish the electrical, and there's some, I think there's a little bit of finishing trim work to put in and paint, and they'll be pretty much done with that, which in the photos, you can kind of see, try to get, didn't put as many, but you can see they've installed the curtains, the upper left photo there. The curtains there, and you can see one of their phlebotomy arms waiting for practice. The trim on the right, you can see that actually has the window. I tried to get one where you can see the window is in there, the glass is in there, and you can see the trim is there. Still got to paint that, and that'll be just about trimmed out. Bottom left, you see the fans, the canopy on the outside of those big exhaust fans to keep the weather out. And then the right is more of the drops, some of the electrical work that we've had done in there. And I believe that brings us up to date on those.
What is the current, I know that there's still the delay with the electrical system upgrade. What exactly is that currently? Is it still the transformer, or is it more interior? I know it had multiple moving pieces that were having a little bit of a holdback.
We had a survey done. You had to have a survey from the where the transformer sits to the pole, I believe. Am I saying that right? And they had to shoot that and say that that's AEP's property there. They got that. We're waiting on AEP to bring that paper to sign that was done. And then they have the transformer here in town, and it should be within a couple of days. We're expecting hopefully this week, right? We're hopefully this week that transformer gets set, and that should speed them up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Trustees, anything, other questions or comments on the JET grant update? Okay, if you will continue, Mr. Bennett.
Okay. Next, we have the calendar of upcoming events. You see them there listed all the way to December. Won't go over each and every one, but in October, we do have an interesting event coming up at the high school this Wednesday at basically 12 to 1. And it will be the NJROTC drone demonstration. This is for a FAA 107 drone flying certification our kids can get, our students can get, and it will be count toward our CCMR. It's a new program that they're bringing in, and they will be demonstrating their abilities out there, and of course the board is invited. I think we're just going to sit in the stadium seating, and they'll be out there on the stadium grass flying the drones. Then we have staff development coming up Monday. Elementary Fall Fest coming up on the 26th. Something new at the high school, Community Trunk or Treat Carnival, October 27th. That's the Friday, that's the week of our bye, where we don't play that week. And then finally on the 31st, Falk Elementary Storybook Character Walk. Hopefully you can come out and watch some of that. And also, I think attached at the end was the basketball schedule for this year.
If I may pause for just a second, and I apologize, Mr. Stansberry. We had a past event, and I'll let Mr. Stansberry share this one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got a letter or a note that was sent out from the Chief of Police talking about the National Night Out 2023. And this is dated October 4th. It says, thank you, AP. Last night was a great event. The Rensselaer Police Department family and I enjoyed your participation and company this past evening at the National Night Out 2023. It was great to see so many familiar faces and many new ones. The interactions were great, and we enjoyed the interaction we had with you and our community youth. We gave away around 500 hot dogs, snacks, several sponsored door prizes. He made mention of several sponsors that they had. And then he says, I want to offer this significant, notable shout out to the acting superintendent, Wayne Bennett, and his staff within APISD. We changed the venue for the National Night Out 2023 at the last minute due to the weather and shrimpery conditions. Everybody remembered it rained pretty good last week. Wayne and his team worked swiftly to accommodate us and help afterward with cleanup. Says, thank you, Panther family. So, pretty good.
Thank you to all of those who assisted to help our community flex at the last minute due to weather. So we appreciate you going to those extra efforts. Thanks again.
On that, I'd just like to say thank Mr. Diven. While I was there, I had to call him and see if he had somebody to help him. He called his people, and they were happy to stay and help clean up.
If you will, please pass that along to your team. Thank you. At this point of our agenda, we will now move on to our financial reports. Ms. Chapa.
For the first report, the accounts payable report for September 30th, 2023. Our cash on hand is $4,203,663. It's a bit higher than it was the prior year. We received the payment for August and the first payment for the 2023-24 school year of September. So it's a little bit higher. Put it into taxable, it's earning the 5% interest. The total expenses for the month is $660,919. It's a bit higher. It's a new start of a school year. We spend a lot more on the local maintenance funding. Primarily our air conditions, our instructional supplies to start the school year. For the next report, the budget status report for the month, we received $2,107,000 in local, state, and federal funds, and we have spent $1,475,523. This includes our payroll as well. On the next report, the food service report, TDA has given us a letter stating that they are behind on their payments to the districts. So we don't see that much revenue being posted to the food service, but we will see it in October. We only see $170 being posted in the revenue. For expenses for the month for food service is $129,621. In our debt service, we have our tax collections of $8,501 with no bond payments due at this time. We have a quarterly investment report also included. It's a requirement through the investment policy. Primarily our local maintenance fund at the beginning in June had 4 million. When we ended September 30th, it had 1,613,000. The interest earned for the quarter for all our funds was $52,956.45. And here again, we're earning 5.3547% with our tax pools. Our tax collection report for the month of September. This is the last year before the new tax billing goes out for 2023. We received $35,991 of tax collections for the month. Our FEMA report, we received a payment on July for $3,782.10. We are still pending funding for the softball and baseball fields. That documentation went to them back in July. We called them to see the status. They're still reviewing the information to see what funding we will be getting for the baseball and softball fields. For the ESSER 3 report, we had a drawdown on August 14th of $52,798 and another drawdown on September 7th for $27,525. We are close to depleting the ESSER funding. We still have a balance of $91,142 still in the ESSER grant that we may spend this year. That is all that I have. If there's any questions on any of the reports.
Thank you, Ms. Chapa. Trustees, comments or questions on any of the financial reports? If there are none, then we will move on to the next item, which is board updates. This is our opportunity for board members to provide updates. On the agenda, we do have our Board Code of Conduct and Operating Procedures Review Committee, and I will turn that over to Mrs. Hill.
Alrighty, so the committee has begun the review process for our current board operating procedures and code of conduct. So far, we have each pulled suggestions from other districts, and we have also determined some general updates in regards to just grammar and outdated wording. At this time, we have not had an official scheduled sit-down meeting to go over this collectively, just due to our current board schedule. We've had a lot going on these last few weeks, but we anticipate to start getting together possibly as soon as next week, schedule dependent. So what we are planning, we're intending to begin the drafting session after this week, after our initial search process is complete. And then from there, we will present an initial draft to the board for review. The draft will be in the same format as when we receive policy updates, just for clarity, and so that it's really easy for everyone to follow what the changes are, because it's kind of lengthy. And then we propose that we will have our final approval and submittal of that draft after the current team of 8 have had an opportunity to discuss and align items that are included inside of the Code of Conduct and Operating Procedures, such as our mission and vision statement, our motto, and our board goals. So after the current process that we are experiencing as a team of 8, we will come back with a final draft that includes our updated goals and ensure that those mission and vision and our motto meet what we're currently trying to do in the district in the next year. We're also going to propose that this is reviewed yearly as we update our board goals, since they are included and it's already in that format. This will be something that is ongoing and we will need to keep our eye on to continue to do in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Hill and committee.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Oh, sure,
Sorry.
certainly.
In the meantime, if anyone has anything that they would like to make sure the committee focuses on or that we don't miss, will you send those things to me in an email just to avoid a walking quorum of any kind? If you will email those to me, I will ensure they're presented to the committee so that everyone's thoughts and opinions are heard throughout the entire process and not just at the end.
Thank you. And again, this process is to arrive at a final draft document that will come before the full Board of Trustee body for discussion, review, any further comments, recommended changes. Okay. Trustees, any questions at this point in time based on the update, committee update? Okay, if not, we will move on to our next item under our board updates. And this is to discuss feedback on school zones. If you recall, Chief Blanchard from the Aransas Pass Police Department presented to the board, and in anticipation that the City Council at some point will discuss this item for consideration of changes. And so they already have an idea of some areas that they're looking to revise. And at this point, we just want to ensure that trustees and admin provide feedback, and we will forward that to the police department in one consolidated form. Attached in your board book were a couple of items thus far, and I would ask if you have anything tonight or anything over the next, the rest of the week, if you will please forward those to Ms. Miller. Anything tonight? Questions, comments? Okay. And again, these are school zones and potential areas around the peripheral of our campuses. All right, the next item is our consent agenda. Trustees, tonight on the consent agenda are the following items. If you would like any of them pulled before we vote on them collectively, we have the minutes for the September 11th regular meeting, 2023 regular meeting, September 26th, 2023 special board meeting, October 3rd, 2023 special board meeting, and October 4th, 2023 special board meeting, and October 5th, 2023 special board meeting. Also on the consent agenda is an amendment to the budget to account for an additional $2,000 donation from Philip Hyatt. We had initially received a presentation in that amount would be $8,000, and he increased that to $10,000. So we already approved the $8,000, and this is an additional $2,000. Again, anyone want to pull any of these items for discussion? If not, do I have a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Mullinex. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hill. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries for all consented items. All right then, next item of business is consideration and possible approval to solicit RFP with the assistance of E-rate funding for internet access, overhead fiber line and pole maintenance or replace with buried cable line, core network switch refresh. And our presenter tonight is Mr. Brew, our Director of Technology.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
I can wait for this to fire up. Make sure this works. Okay, good. All right, E-rate. We file for this every year. Sometimes we have to go out for RFPs, sometimes we don't if we are in a contract for internet service that goes with that. What E-rate does is, based on econ, disadvantaged, and National School Lunch Library System, rated at a percentage to what you would get for certain kind of fundings to help school districts with their internet access. There's two types. There's a category 1 and a category 2. Category 1 is internet access, or anything required to get internet to your buildings. All right, so that can be internet service provider. It can be cable on your WAN, which is your backbone of between the buildings. And then there's category 2, which is going to be some of the other stuff that goes within the buildings, like switches or backups, backup UPSs, cabinets, stuff like that. Category 2 is the one that's got a budget, all right, that you have to go with it. It's kind of small up there, but I did put this in your packet. It's approved for about 5 years. You get 5 years to use this allotted amount of money. If you don't use it, if federal government decides, hey, we're not doing this program anymore, you lose it. They go about that. Normally they've been doing it every 5 years. It comes back for, but you never know with what's going on. So we have in year 1, 2, and 3, we did not use any category 2 funding. This is year 4 of this, and we have about 302. It's dependent on your student population. We don't. Those numbers are last year's numbers because our snapshot date is not until later in October. So it could go up a little bit. Category 1, what we're asking for is on the RFP is we need to get internet service. Our 3-year contract is up. So we got to go back out and say, hey, equal opportunity for all these other internet service providers to come in and bid for us to get to get access to us. District will also go out for pole maintenance and fees or refresh with some options. I'm going to show you guys some pictures on this and show you what I'm talking about on that one. Both of those are category 1 in the pieces. It doesn't affect any of the monies in category 2. Category 2, we're going to be looking for an RFP for 300 or whatever the money to replace the switches in the district. And I'll kind of go into that just a little bit. Internet access, our total monthly cost, $263 for a cable modem and $2,600 for fiber. That's for 1 gig. 300 on the cable modem, 300 megs, and then 1 gig coming into the district from Sparklight. So we're spending, roughly about $2,800, $2,900 a month just on internet access, and that's what we do pay. We are a 90% district, meaning we are responsible for 10% of that. We file for a BEAR, which is a reimbursement form. So we get back 90% at the end of the year when we file our 487 on that. So we, in totals, you're looking at per year, we spend $36,000 right now. We get back $32,000 for the internet. Pole maintenance and fiber lines. These this poles, I just put these pictures up here because this was the original plans that went in 1999 on the fiber line. So the fiber line was installed in 99, 2000 through E-rate for the district. And it's showing the pole location and the direction of the fiber lines that go with it. So the problem we have right now is AEP and went out there. It's not a problem. It's probably pretty cool. They're putting in new poles everywhere to make it all a bit better after the hurricane. But if you look at some of these pictures, our lines are on these poles, and they need to be transferred over to these newer poles across the whole district. We have fiber lines that are up, like they went to May Allen. I mean, they're still there, but they're not in use at all, and we're paying a yearly fee for each one of those poles. We have about in February of this year, I put out a on the contract to go to do a survey of each pole through AEP. They sent out contractors to send up here, and they went and inspected every single pole. They know which lines are whose. If our line is on top, the people on the bottom can't move their line yet. So there's some things that go on, so we have to do some stuff with that. E-rate through maintenance and fees can pay for this up to the 90%. We still owe the 10%.
Jason, did you say the lines are on the pole, but they're not in use?
There are the lines from, and I can kind of show this to you. So there's two, that's correct, because there's no longer a May Allen. So from Falk all the way down to May Allen, the old May Allen, is that right?
The old district office?
Yeah, the old district offices down there. There's a line still up there, yes, sir. But it's not going anywhere. It's not in use, it's dark.
Being charged because they're on the pole?
Correct.
How many years have we been charged?
Oh, easily since May Allen was in operation over there, because they did have some switches and stuff over there that were in operation. So right before, I think it was a little bit after that.
For our viewing public, the building is no longer there, so
Right.
that's the.
Right. The other line that's dark is from Falk, an aerial line to high school. The hurricane took that down in 2017. So 2018, we had used E-rate again, and we buried a line from Falk all the way to the high school. That goes with that. The estimated lifetime of an optical fiber line in a telecom network, about 25 years. You're going to get plus or minus on that depending on the use in the air. Pole maintenance pics. This is kind of just showing you the line from high school to AC Blunt. So we kind of run a modified star network, meaning we have two areas where we sprout out to go to the different campuses. And it's buried from the high school to the road to Demery, and then aerial all the way down, and then straight into AC Blunt. And then we got Charlie Marshall, same route, buried to Demery, then Demery, and buried to Charlie Marshall. We've had those new houses that were put over there. They actually dug into it and pulled it out for us one day so that we could accidentally inspect it. It was a mistake. We fixed that. Then we got, this is the high school to Falk. The blue line is the buried cable route, and the red line is the old aerial fiber line that was knocked out in 2017. I mean, it was cut in pieces.
Is that along Nelson?
That is,
You said from high school?
Nelson's where the blue line is, right
Okay.
straight to it. And the reason why that that red line went over that way is that road was not there when it was built. That was 99 or something like that. It was a long time ago. Let's see, this is from Falk to Keyburger, fiber lines. And then this is May Allen, the fiber line length and route. And then this is to Tech, Falk to Tech, which is where I'm at on that front. So that's where our internet is coming in, and then we feed everybody else from our building. Here's just some pictures of what's out there going on. It's need maintenance. Some of it's unwrapped that gets to it. I did have a company come out and I tried to get them to give me a bid, but they want to do the whole thing. It was costing them, like, for each of the crews, they verbally said something about, almost $1,200 a crew, and it would take 2 crews in a couple weeks to do. Here's our pole rental fees of what they cost. And this is a yearly fee, and it's $2,300. Yes, $2,300. But that's a pole rental fee. That goes with that. That is E-rateable as well too. So we'll get with this RFP stuff, we'll get 90% of that back as well too.
What is the estimated turnaround time on receiving the 90% back?
We file the bears. It depends on the on the IA. We usually file those bears probably we have to get our last bill from June because that's everything. June is the stop date. So once we get that last bill in, we can file the bear forms, and then it usually takes a couple weeks to get back in on that piece. Now on projects like this, it's like the high school project, what we did with E-rate, the whole price was to go underground was about 89,000. And then it's pretty much, I don't want to say anything wrong, but it's a couple weeks. It could be as long as it takes for them to get to it, but it's usually within a year. And it's not something that so let's say if we're doing something, we have to foot all the money up front. It's going to be something where it's all we're going to owe is the 10%.
Okay.
What do we need to do to stop paying rental on those poles we're not using anymore for, like down to May Allen? Or do we have things going to Walter Noble as well?
Yes, we can. Well, we can cut them, but I'm not cleared to climb a pole and cut those things.
We're
right.
renting those poles from AP, right?
Correct. So
So
that's
should
what
they
I
not-
did. That's why I did the survey to figure out which poles needed attention and which poles are no longer attached, or which poles that we're using. And once we've got that going in, we can get those off the
list?
Yes.
So just take care of, so we get rid of
Yes.
all those. It's not too much because we only pay 10% of it, but still.
Right. It's still there.
10% mounts up over
Oh,
time,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. And then the last one is the core switch refresh. So we have in district 6 main switches. That's the layer 3. That's doing the routing, the VLANing, the everything that comes in for that campus. And then you've got a bunch of secondary, 64 total switches. We'd like to RFP out for category 2 funding. We're still responsible for 10% up to the budget. If it goes above $302,000, we owe the rest above that after that 10%. I'll just kind of go into some details here on these switches. Your main switches are running anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a piece. Your secondary switches are usually about $2,000 to $3,000. That goes with that. Oh, it said something about the age. We have our main switches. We did most of them. We did all of them after the hurricane. And we did a couple more just for the high school and Blunt are the newest. I think they're about 3 years old. The other ones are about 2018, right after the hurricane. And then we have switches. The second switches, we run them until they die, and then we replace them. Core switch layouts. This is just some diagrams going with it, showing you how they're all laid out with it. And then I think that's about it. I'm sure there's questions.
Trustees?
I know most of our stuff is over at the old Walter Noble campus where you guys are at. Is that building, we got like all the servers in there, or is it in good condition, or we?
So we're at Compton Hall. There's the stage area where the UIL, and then we also do some of the building of some of the TVs and stuff like that we put into the classrooms when the UIL's not using it for theater. We are in the back part of that. We converted that after the hurricane because our shop, the tech shop, was gone. So we moved everything over to that little area up there. It's got its own server room, cooled, its own air conditioner, and then we have our own air conditioner, own a shop area inside of there as well too. So it's not too bad over that way.
Is that the only building over that you guys use for tech on that campus? I thought there was another building over there that you guys.
Walter Noble hasn't been used in quite some time, and then there's the
Records.
cottage records.
But it doesn't have any, to my knowledge.
No, it doesn't have anything over that way as well.
What's the availability of switches? I know that was a concern not
It's
too long
still-
ago with back orders.
It's still there. I'm able to get some now. It's not as dire as it was. I also, when I could get them, I got as many as I could afford with whatever budget I had. That way, if we do have one going out, we can just pop it in and go for it. I've got several right now waiting just to go in, just in case something happens.
Sparklight our only option we have?
No, sir. We have Sparklight. When we've had bids before, we've done Frontier, Sparklight, and we'll get not really Spectrum. Spectrum doesn't own any of the lines right around here, but Frontier's trying real hard to get in as well too. So we're always looking to go with whatever we can. I mean, that's one of the big things with the RFP and the RFP manager that we run, is to make sure it's fair, and it's in E-rate. It says your number one thing needs to be cost of services. It need to be for your determination.
Trustees, any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion for approval to solicit RFP with assistance for E-rate funding for internet access, overhead fiber line and pole maintenance or replace with buried cable line, and core network switch refresh?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stansberry, second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item that we have is consider possible approval of an annual resolution adopting investment policy and investment strategy. Ms. Champa.
Yes, this is an annual resolution required by the Public Funds Investment Act. It states that we review annually the CDA local board policy and the CDA legal board policy. At this time, administration is not recommending any changes. And if you could approve the resolution.
Trustee-
Stating there's no changes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt you. Thank you, Ms. Chapa. Trustees, do you have any questions on this item? The resolution is attached in our board books, along with the local and legal policies. The annual resolution adopting investment policy and investment strategy reads, whereas the Public Funds Investment Act codified in the Texas Government Code Chapter 2256 governs local government investment, and whereas the Public Fund Investment Act Section 2256.005A, as amended, requires the district to adopt an investment policy and investment strategies by rule, order, ordinance, or resolution governing the investment of funds under its control. And whereas the Public Fund Investment Act, Section 2256.005E, requires the governing body to review and adopt the investment policy and investment strategies by rule, order, ordinance, or resolution not less than annually, recording any changes made thereto. And whereas the district board has reviewed the policy and decided to make no changes thereto, now therefore be it resolved that the district has complied with the requirements of the Public Funds Investment Act and the district's investment policy and adopts the investment policy and investment strategies with no changes as the investment policy and strategies of the district effective October 9, 2023. Do we have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Stansberry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Flores. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The resolution has been adopted. Thank you, Ms. Chapa. Next item of business, consider and possible approval of a resolution to name a nominee for Place 6 of the Nueces County Appraisal District Board of Governors. Mr. Bennett.
Okay, this is the board's opportunity to make their one nomination for the Nueces Appraisal District Board. If if you choose to, or if you have someone nominate, there's a form to fill out, and we would submit it by tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Or if you do not wish to make a nomination, there's no action required.
Trustees, do we have any comments or questions regarding this resolution? Any consideration of nominees for place 6? We are one taxing unit of other cities and ISDs.
Yeah. I think we'll get outvoted.
I don't
everywhere you
believe our
go.
nomination's gonna get elected with one vote, so, I mean, I don't have anybody to nominate.
We have a very small portion and percentage, and thus one vote amongst the other taxing entities.
I think we are not even worried about it.
I agree.
All right, it appears we do not have a nomination. That's just for clarification, then we do not need to pass a resolution? Correct, okay. All right, so do we have a motion to not place a nomination for place 6 of the Nueces County Appraisal District Board of Directors?
So motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Galvan, second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Next item of business. Likewise for San Patricio County, consider and possible approval of a resolution to name up to 5 nominees to serve on the San Patricio County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Likewise, Mr. Bennett.
Right, this is along the same lines. It's just for San Patricio County. You have the opportunity to nominate up to 5. Again, it's due tomorrow. If you choose not to make a nomination, then no action is required again. But on this one, you can nominate up to 5 individuals.
And also in our, just a reminder, in our board book, there are the names of those currently serving.
And we don't know
Oh.
none of them.
All right, trustees, the floor is now open for nominees to serve on the San Patricio County Appraisal District Board of, not governors, Board of Directors. There appears to be no nominees. Question?
I will volunteer, but I have some questions just from the nature of our business to ensure that it's not a conflict of interest.
So yes, we do have some information on eligibility criteria.
I didn't see the breakdown on the San Patricio County side, the same as it was for the Nueces County.
That's
where
true.
they had their full chart. So just to ensure that it doesn't muddy any waters from my personal business, I would.
On the voting entitlement, there's a list of how many votes everybody gets.
Oh, no. I meant on the Nueces County one, they had a full list of if your business does this and if you go under these types of
Eligibility.
contracts. So I just wanted to make sure it won't interfere. And it included your spouse, so.
Yes, so the
We go under a
eligibility
lot of contracts.
criteria in order to serve on the Board of Directors is what you were looking for. If it mirrors, and this would be for a 2-year term. Let's see here. Staff, do we know if we can do a conditional nomination?
It's got to be in tomorrow, right?
Can we submit? And certainly, if there is a eligibility criteria issue or conflict of interest issue, then certainly it sounds like Mrs. Hill would not serve.
Otherwise, I'd hate for us to lose our 100 and some odd votes there.
Well, we still get to vote when the nominations from all the entities are brought to us, but we can't submit a name to be nominated. But
Okay.
we'll
Yeah,
still
this
be
is a
able to vote
nomination.
for someone.
Perfect.
So I believe
Volunteer.
this is just the nomination phase, and then what will happen is the appraisal district will release the names of nominees for all the taxing entities to then vote on who will serve on the board of directors. Is that correct? So Ms. Hill, would you still like your name presented?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
You can make a recommendation. Ms. Chops had recommended or suggested recommending Ms. Hill with pending requirements or review of the requirements.
I'm okay with that.
So do we have a motion to nominate Olivia Hill to serve on the San Patricio County Appraisal District Board of Directors pending confirmation of the eligibility requirements? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion made.
Motion made by Mr. Molinak, second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, so then we will submit that form to San Patricio County. Thank you, Mrs. Hill, for your willingness to serve.
No problem.
Next item of business are topics for future meetings. Trustees, any topics at this time? Okay, if not, we will convene an executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.001 concerning any and all purposes permitted by the act. Section 551.072 real property, review appraisal value and market listing of district property, and discussion of real estate services. Under Section 551.0221, excuse me, let me state that again. Under Section 551.0821, personally identifiable information about public school students. In Section 551.074, personnel, we have resignation, retirement, and superintendent search services and processes. The time now is 7:58 p.m. We are now closed from open session to convene an executive session. The time now is 8:29 p.m. We have closed our executive session. We are reconvening an open session and act on any items requiring action from the closed session. On the agenda, we have consider and approve the remote homebound instruction waivers as discussed in executive session. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Molinek, second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Consider and approve retirement. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Flores and second by Mrs. Hill to approve the retirement as discussed in executive session. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consider possible naming of real estate agent of record or solicitation of RFQ, request for qualifications, for real estate services for the possible sale of district property. Do we have a motion?
I'd like a motion that we table that indefinitely.
We have a motion to table this item by Mr. Galvan,
Second.
second by Mr. Stansberry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Item tabled. The time now is 8:31. Is there any further business? If not, our regular meeting is adjourned.